Today on The Riff, Jen, Jon, and Justin sit down and talk about players and coaches. To be honest, I've always seen myself as a young Phil Jackson. I think I'm going to like this one. We hope today is helpful. Thanks for listening.
Riff!
Here we go.
Oh my goodness, I was moving microphones all over the place. I get nervous every time we start. Did I get all the things set up? Did I push the right buttons? You know.
You pressed buttons,
Yeah, I did.
whether they're the right ones or not.
I think we're here. Here we are. Another Riff episode. And today, I'm excited what we're talking about. John Martz came in, and the past couple of episodes, he's had a plan. He's had things written out.
My back's getting a little heavy from carrying the team here.
Right?
So,
and he finally got it today where he was just like, let's just talk about whatever comes up. I am so proud of you.
I'm growing.
You are riffing.
Growing.
I love it. But today we're going to talk about players and coaches. That's what we're going to talk about. And I think it's going to be a really good conversation, whether you're in leadership. We're also talking about groups. So it might be a space to where you've been a part of a group. Now you're leading a group. So how do you go from a player inside of a group to a coach inside of a group? Like, there are so many different facets of life that I think this conversation can be helpful within. And that's what we're going to do today. So Jon, Jen, good to see you.
Good to see you guys.
Great to be here.
Wow.
Great to be here. And you're going to give an update on search committee and everything going on there.
Yeah, still doing it.
I didn't want to.
No,
sorry,
we are. We
you know
are
what? I guess
still doing it.
I don't get this whole riff thing. You know, so we just bounce back and forth for 5-ish, 10 minutes.
Yeah,
and then we
talk about the weather.
You know, what's funny? I'm more of the
Rain
kind of
today.
guy. I just come right in, and when I call you, I'm like, "Hey, by the way, this is what I was thinking." I just get right into business, and I don't warm you up.
No,
Is that a bad personality trait? Is that a fine
I
personality
wouldn't
trait?
say a bad personality trait.
Okay.
I'm not trying to put judgment on that.
right,
It's
thank
a
you.
personality trait, but I'm just,
It says something about you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let you decide
yeah.
what that says. But
the search committee is still going. I don't like to call it a committee. I don't know.
We're not sure if it's committee or
I
team.
like team. I like team.
Last time you liked committee.
yeah,
I used it, tried it on, didn't like it.
Back to team.
Back to team. The search team. Still going strong. And we are getting now, we are now today, September 1, first day of consideration. What does that mean? That means that the team is actually walking through every single application. We've already kind of walked through what they look like, where they're going to be like placed. But today we're actually putting them in the spaces and starting to contact people, whether it be a nope, not right now, sorry, or a let's continue this conversation. So today that process starts. We run that process through the month of September. So the hope is by the end of September, we've got 2 to 3 candidates that we're going to present to the board. And then the board takes those 2 to 3 candidates and then runs them through a full process, which more than likely could take the entire month of October into November. So that's where we are. And I'm excited. I like a good system, and this is a good one.
and this would be my guesstimation. It's so long because you've got resumes, you've got speaking videos, you've got portfolios of work, strategy. More when they answer questions, it brings up more questions. That type of deal. Is that kind of why it takes so long to walk through this process?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah. And I would say that this is pretty quick. I mean, I think that we are trying to figure out who this person is for the next couple of years, right? So I think that the more due diligence that we do and the time that we take gives us just a better opportunity to make sure it's going to be a culture fit for them and it'll be a culture fit for North Point. Like I don't think in this process we can take long enough. And I know I am like the most impatient person. That is not one
Jamie's
of my...
told me about that.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like I know that's a spiritual gift I just haven't received yet. Okay. I have open hands for it. It just is not, I don't know what's going on. So for me, I'm like, let's go. But what I also know is we've got strong leadership in place within the DLT, and we've got strong leadership within an interim lead pastor, Jon Martz. Like, so for me, I'm like, man, the team is strong, the DLT is strong, the board is strong, the search team is strong. I know.
The extra
It feels
time
better.
right now makes sense, right?
Yes.
The due diligence period, I think that's so important. That's when you figure it out, right? It does need to be right for North Point. It also needs to be right for that person and their family.
That's right.
And so I think that this search team and the board and DLT and the campuses, all of us are working towards the same goal, which is the right fit.
That's right. So that's what the process looks like right now. September 1, it's the first day consideration.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It sounds like a holiday, which, I mean, we're kind of already in a holiday weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just imagining all the balloons and the time off is for a first day of consideration.
That's right.
So
Yeah, it's a holiday.
Pretty cool. It's pretty cool that everybody's celebrating it.
And you don't try this on like the word committee or anything, right? Because we want to make sure this is a long-term fit. So
Right.
it's not, you
Right.
really want
And that's
to
the
walk
thing.
around with it.
I played
Committee,
around with
team,
committee for a month and then realized, no,
That's not us.
I don't want
search coaches,
committee.
search.
Search coaches?
We could
SC?
use a coach.
We could use a coach.
Who knows how to coach us on a search team?
I'm just saying that it's limitless right now, the opportunities.
Wow.
So that's where we're at. I'm excited about the process. Still excited about the team and excited to see what happens in the next couple of months. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Is that all we got today? Is that it? Is that
I
all?
thought we were talking about
Yeah.
player coaches.
Oh, yeah. Player
No,
coach.
hey,
player
no.
coach.
We can stretch this thing out for 25 more minutes. Yeah, no. We can keep going on this.
Good.
Riff around on it.
All right. So we were having a discussion this morning and it came up player coach. And Jen said something that is still rattling around in my brain. And I'm like, oh my word. I feel like I probably have been that person. She was talking about a player coach conversation, relationship that she had. And you had said, you can correct me if you're wrong, coach me up. But you said,
I can correct you if I'm wrong, or I can correct you if
correct
you're
me
wrong.
if I'm wrong.
Okay,
correct
perfect.
me if I'm wrong.
I don't want
Coach
to correct
me up.
myself.
No.
Okay,
no.
perfect.
But about this coach and player relationship, and the coach had said, I can't want it more than you do.
It's my least favorite thing for a coach to say. I can't want it for you more than you want it for yourself.
Before you say that, I've said that before, so stop just a minute, okay? Because that's hurtful, okay? I've said it. And then when you said, yeah, but that's your job is to care more, right? That's your job as a leader to care more. That's your job as a coach. You are the one that stands in the gap to help move that person forward. I'm like, oh. Yeah.
It's when things get hard.
But do you remember that impatient thing that I got? Yeah, that's that.
And
I'm like,
I'm not-
oh, you don't want to do it?
And I'm not
Fine.
saying every person can be coached into the role that you want them to be in. However, when someone says to you at the beginning of a relationship, I want this, I want to make this impact, I want to do this thing, we all know that life gets hard. And what happens is if you're a coach, when it gets hard, my job as the coach is to stand in the gap. Right? It's my job to remind you of what you said you wanted when we started. And I don't know if any of you have ever run on a Peloton or biked on a Peloton, but they say that during the
Marks?
workouts.
Are you a Peloton?
Not a shot. No,
So
this
they-
body's all natural.
They say it. They say it in like a 45-minute run. They'll say somewhere around 20 minutes in, remember what you wanted when you started. Because 20 minutes in, the workout gets hard, right? You're like, oh, I still have 25 more minutes. I'm tired. My kids are probably want something else to eat. There's probably a text message I could respond to. There's probably a call I could respond to. And the reminder from the coach then is, remember what you said you wanted when you started. And I think in leadership, when someone said that to me one time, they're like, I can't want it for you more than you want it for yourself. I thought, really? Because I brought you into my life to coach me. I brought you into my life to lead me. I chose to follow in this season because I thought you could get me where I wanted to go. I thought you could help me make the impact I wanted to make. And so I think as a coach or as a leader, I think that our emotions have to step outside of it and say, when your emotions come in, when fatigue happens, when stress happens, right? When we're looking to do some big stuff, stress happens. And as a coach, we come in and say, yeah, this is stressful. And what's your next right step during this stressful season to get to where you want to go?
That is so helpful. Martz, tell me about a time you've had a coach in your life. Tell me about a good, you don't have to name him, but tell me about something that was helpful and tell me about a time that was maybe not helpful.
Well, I'll say this. Really how my day started this morning was I just spoke in last weekend. And I got into the office and someone showed up and they said, Martz, that was a great message. And I was ready to receive the full amount of their praise. I was excited about that. I wouldn't want to take away their blessing, a blessing me. And so I was ready to receive that. And then they hit me with, do you have are you like getting coached or something? And I'm like, one, hurtful that you didn't just say that was a good message. You're like, because I think you might be getting coached. Like I think I think you might be getting some outside help. And I'll say, yes, absolutely. In fact, you have an opportunity there. It's an opportunity of growth anytime to ask for a coach, right? Because change is inevitable, growth is optional. And so I recently got a coach in communication. An area that I want to grow in is actually an area, usually I get a coach in an area that I already feel like I have a strength, and how can I just pour gasoline on that and help me see the things that I don't see? And so it takes an invitation of inviting them into your life to challenge you in ways that, you wouldn't actually challenge you, right? Is it getting a trainer? It's like, all the above. But what I love about what you said was it's not just, hey, this is what I see in you and this is where you should go. It's using the language that you have inside of you to say, okay, if that's where you want to go, then I'm going to help you get there. So a coach doesn't choose the destination in which you want to land or the direction in which you want to go. They just help guide you into that. So they can't knock you off the bike and ride for you, right? They just steer and guide as you pedal the bike into the direction you want to go. So I've had a great coach even recently that's helped me communication. Jen, when Jen came on the role to help kind of even bring language around North Point of how are we leading staffers, just all of us using the same language was so helpful organizationally. Mm-hmm. You even brought up something called the GROW model, which I found is so helpful of, the acronym. You can explain it way better than I do, but the G just represents goals. The R represents what's the reality, where you at in that goal. You don't need to lie to me. I'm your coach. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm just trying to help you. Mm-hmm. Actually, the more you lie to me, the less, helpful I am to you. You get the O, which would either be opportunities that are coming up or obstacles that have been in your way that have set you back or things that you think will help you move forward. And then the W is just what's the way forward. And so a lot of times a coach just even gives you language on how to achieve what you've said you want to achieve. But one of the most helpful things I felt like early on in my tenure here at North Point was walking in and seeing individual people that have like this, I guess you'd say, a personal mission statement. Like, this is a direction they want to go in life. And I'm like, they are going there. And I'm like, that's so cool. So I remember talking to a few of them and just being like, how did you get there? And diving into what would my personal mission statement be and how do I achieve that? And so even before I even had coaches that I asked, I had coaches that helped even provide language for me to figure out what do I even want? And then I can get a coach to help me get to where I want. So all the above, I don't really think I've had bad coaches unless they had an agenda for me that I didn't have for myself. And there have been a few of those, absolutely, where they see something in me and flattered that you do. At the same time, that's not the direction I feel like God's wanting me to go. And so that can feel conflicting. And then you feel like, do I let God down or my coach down? And that can be a hard spot to be. But I've had so many good coaches here at North Point that have just taken, hey, what do you believe? What do you feel in your gut? Where do you want to go? And let me just come alongside you. How can I help? Let's get there.
Well, I think on that, when you were talking about like the GROW model, right? Or moving down the path that you want to go on. There was a coach that I had that used to say all the time, authorship is ownership. So when I walk someone through a GROW model, the reason we use that framework is because I'm saying, what was your goal? What was your reality? What were those opportunities or obstacles? The way forward, though, is where you spend the majority of your time. I'm not going to beat you up for not hitting the goal. What I want to know is, what are you willing to do to get back on track? Do your willings match your wants? What you tell me you want to do, are you willing to do the work that you said you were going to do in order to get what you want to get? And so that authorship is ownership. That piece of it is, if you can tell me your W, if you can tell me the way forward to get back on track, you are 100 times, I don't know if that's scientific, 100 times more likely to actually do it than if I tell you what your W is.
Yeah, it'd be terrible to walk out of a coaching call or meeting or anything like that and then be like, what was I supposed to do? And it's like, hold on. One, it's not about just doing random things to get where you want to get. And when I even think W, it's like, what is the why, too, that's driving you to do those things? Yeah.
I mean, this is applicable in so many different spaces, right? I mean, you talk about spiritual formation. Like, that's why a lot of people will say, like, that doesn't happen alone. It's not, I'm just going to get my Bible. I'm going to light a candle.
My alone time.
I'm just going to read. I'm going to close my Bible. and I've grown. Like it's not. It's
You forgot
maybe
the
it's
Instagram picture and
Oh,
highlighters. Come
I'm not
on,
Insta.
and coffee cup.
I'm so sorry.
The gram.
know.
I think it's called the gram, not Insta.
Bet.
Maybe.
No,
I'm not sure.
Bet. Totally.
Well done.
I still don't know what bet means. Just so you guys know that.
I
Did I
think
use it
means
right?
yes.
Did I use
I
it
think
right?
so. I think so.
Bet. All right. Good. But it doesn't happen alone, right? A good marriage does not happen in a vacuum. Like it's all of these. Who is actually pouring into your life? Who is it that you're actually going after to say, can you pour into my life? And that's weird. How do you do that? Like for me, I've done it both ways. I've done like the secret mentorship. Well, I think it's secret, but they probably know what I'm doing. But I'm not asking them to mentor me. Like, and I've also done the will you mentor me? And that was the weirdest question, right? And the weirdest relationship I've had. It was odd. But how do you go about that? How do you find coaches? How do you seek out coaches? What does it look like for you when you do that?
I would just say early on, I remember talking to a pastor, and I was like, I really want to be able to communicate scripture the way that you do. It's so good. It's so beautiful. Like the way you lay it out, it makes so much sense. And I'm like, how do you do it? And he was like, well, have you prayed about it? And I was like, and he's like, well, that means no. I was like, yeah, no, I haven't. And not to make this like overly spiritual, but it is funny that when you start to pray about something, when you start to get something in your mind and look for something, you start to find it. And like one of the very first things, even when it comes to if your eyes are open, you're like, man, you know what? A coach might actually help me get where I want to get because I might not be able to do it on my own. One of my first steps would be like, okay, if this is new, it wouldn't just be like, okay, in 2 seconds, I'm going to figure out who that is. It is a long process of, God, put me in a situation, bring people my way that maybe I never even expected or ever thought. It might be really different than me, but I could see the value that they have in their lives that they put time into and energy into. And God, help me see that. So the amazing thing is every coach that I've had hasn't been like, man, I want your life. Like that would be a, right. Like, or I want a vacation like you, or I want to have as much money as you. That would be a boss. All right. But what I want is someone who has something that I don't have. And I believe almost everyone around you probably has something that's unique to them that you're like, that is beautiful, right? Especially in this room, I'm like, you both have things that I would love to glean and try to grab to apply to my life because those aren't natural in my life. And I think that it just takes you opening up your eyes and seeing the value that people already have and then asking questions on how to glean that.
It's good.
I think in the past I found coaches of where I needed that strength from, right? Where I needed to or strengthen a certain area of my life or my business, right? And I think for me, what you mentioned, this idea of what you focus on expands, right? So if I focus on something, if I focus on good, I tend to see the good. If I focus on bad, I tend to be kind of a negative Nancy, right? I start to complain. I start to
go Debbie Downer.
Debbie Downer?
Yeah.
I could do
But that makes me
Yeah.
think of Debbie Hostess Cakes. And now I'm
little.
hungry.
That's little Debbie. That's not.
That's not the same.
completely
That's not the
different.
same.
That's completely
I like 'em both.
different.
I also like them both. I think for me, when I have looked at coaches, though, there has been an aspect of my life or my business where I thought I need to find the person that's been there before me, that's paved a path. I don't need that to all be exactly what my life, their life to look exactly like what my life looks like. But I do need them to add an element that makes my life maybe a little simpler, right? Can I learn from them? Have they failed in something maybe and then figured out success so that my path to success in that area could be a little bit faster? And so when I go looking for a coach, I do want to know authentically who they are, what they believe in, what some of their past successes have been. Can this add value to me? And it doesn't mean that I do think everybody has something that they can coach on and give expertise to. But for me, I number one need to like the coach. I need to believe them, and I need them to get me to think. I don't actually want to be spoon-fed. I don't want someone to say, Jen, do this step next. I want them to ask me questions so that my path is my path and I'm not just simply repeating their path. And the great coaches that I have had have asked questions of me that have changed how I think. And one of my coaches would say to me, like, the first time I'm going to do something, it's always uncomfortable, right? And a coach will ask you to do something, get outside of your comfort zone. And a coach I had one time, you guys both met him, Jordan Freed. At an event. Yeah. He said to me, he was like, okay, Jen, if you picture yourself doing this thing 10 times, imagine how good will you be after you've done it 10 times. Imagine how good you will be at this thing after you've done it 100 times. Imagine how good you will be at this thing after you've done it 1,000 times. And what he does is he gets me to get out of the uncomfortable of, this is my first time doing this. This is my first time making this phone call or making this ask or doing this thing. And he puts me in a position of, now I can imagine the type of person that I may need to be to do this thing 100 times. And then you start showing up like that person. And all of a sudden you're out of the scary of the right now and you're down the road and you're like, well, if I did it 100 times, I'd feel more comfortable at this.
And I think when I hear something like this, especially someone young like me, I think, man, I just want to be a coach. I want to be a coach. Being a coach would be so fun. And that's just what I want to do. I want to be a life coach. But it is really, I would say you can't. You can't be a great coach unless you were once a player, right? If you don't put in the time to become an expert at something, it's really hard to then coach people on how to put in the time to become an expert at that. And the beautiful thing about the coaches that I've had in my life, they have all been players, excellent players that probably also had a coach, but push themselves. And so one of the things about even Justin that I love is if we look at even organizationally here at North Point, is the people that have climbed the ranks over and over and over again, who have kind of reinvented themselves in new roles because they know, hey, this is going to take a different level of me in this next season. It's been beautiful to watch that process. And the people that I want to be coached by were people that were unbelievable players and probably still are.
Yeah. So when you talk about somebody becoming a coach, I think that it's really important for people out there, because I think that there's definitely two extremes, right? There's that extreme of like, I want to be a coach. People need to learn from me, right? Like that's but then there's also the extreme of like this almost like, nobody would want to learn from me, right? Like I'm almost like an imposter syndrome type of feel to it, right? And for me, I'm like, it's so important for that middle ground to be there. There's a guy at Springfield that I'm like, like in 20 years, like that's the type of mentality I want to have to coaching. Yes. He saw me last night, he saw me in the lobby, comes up to me, he's like, how you doing? I'm like, I'm all right. He's like, my table's always open if you want breakfast. And then just walked out, where I'm like, yes, I'll call him. Like, and that's the kind of, and when I sit down with him, it's never that like, learn from me, but it's also like this, it's like a quiet confidence that he has, right? So how do you find that, specifically Eugene, because you've coached a lot of people. That's kind of your background and what you've done. Like, how do you find that middle ground to where it's not this extreme type of listen to me or who would listen to me type of feel?
I think it's the heart behind it. I think that the coaches that I know that are great coaches want to make an impact on the people that are in their world. They're not doing it for money. They're not doing it for notoriety or Instagram or to say that they're a coach. They genuinely have a love for people, and they're wildly curious about where someone's at. And I've heard it said before that I can't change the hand of cards that you were dealt, but I can sure help you play the heck out of the ones that you've got, right? And I think the great coaches, the middle ground, they're people that have lived enough life, that have, and they're students of it, right? They have emotional intelligence to say, here's when I've really won at life, and here's when I've really failed. And there's some weight to that. And so I think the middle ground, I will say, even for me, imposter syndrome sometimes can sneak in, right? Because you're in a different area of than you've been in before, and you're like, does this translate, right? Does business translate to ministry? We're still figuring that out, right? We're not sure, but we look at it, and so I think sometimes that shows up. but it doesn't prevent me from showing up every day. So I think that there can be that tension, right? I still show up, and I'm pretty much always the first one to say, I'm not sure. This is how I would handle it. What do you think? And so I think the coaches that fight that middle ground, they're not fighting against ego. If you've got a coach that's doing it for themselves, you're not going to get very far. When I do a 30-minute coaching session, I will say I used to have a timer because I wanted to make sure that I didn't slip into training instead of coaching, because that can happen. You can start to train people. You can start to tell them what to do. And so in a 30-minute coaching conversation, I should talk less than 8 minutes, because then the conversation is about the client. If the client is talking, they feel like the coaching session was for them. If I'm talking, it feels like it was maybe a little bit more for me.
That's so good. I also think we figured out already, you might not have, if business can apply to ministry. I think you
So far, so good.
Yeah, I think you've shown it's probably an accurate thing. And vice versa, right? As you go back into the business world, as people like, ministry also moves into business. It's almost like it's all kind of set up as one, almost like there's kind of like there's no dividing line. It's weird. It's almost like God's everywhere. It's very weird.
It is.
But here's the deal. I don't know how much more time we got. That's fine. We did a Riff episode. We also did a master class that I absolutely hated. Okay. It was the one about work and faith. It was Taylor McCall, and it was the guys that wrote Brave Cities. I despised it. Why did I despise it? Because there were so many things that he said that I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't like that. I don't like him saying that. And that's usually when I have to like listen, because that means I usually need to do what they're saying, right? Like if I ever find myself reading the gospel and 100%. I agree with everything in it, I usually am not getting it, right? Like there has to be this like discontent in my soul. And there were so many things in that I'm so attracted to of ministry within the workplace. So what you're doing, Jen, what you're doing right now, it's an incredible thing to see somebody playing what some would say like, oh, both sides, like it's all one. Like it really is. And so glad that you're here. And then Martz, the way that you interact outside of the walls, right? Like it's the exact same thing. I don't know if ministry is good. Yeah, it does. It does. So I just wanted, that's a tangent. Thanks. But yeah, we figured it out, I think.
Jen, when you came in, it was so funny because obviously when you came in, it's pivotal. There's area, all of us have areas in our ministry or campus or personally that we're like, hey, can you just tell us what to do? Because you are the expert coming in. We're excited to learn from you, all those things. And what I hated, but was so helpful, what I hated was you did exactly that. You asked so many questions. And I'm like, no, I just want you to tell me what to do. Like, you've seen a service. Tell me what I need to fix or can be better at and blah, blah. And you're like, no. Well, you tell me what you think. Like, I need you to put into words what you're feeling, what you're seeing. I'm going to make you do work. Like, I'm going to make you do the work of defining these things in your mind first so that I can't come in and just be like, well, Jen, I disagree. And I don't even think you were, looking to tell me what to do. But the way you did it, it's almost like, I already know what to do. Dang it. And I just told you. And I just don't want to do that.
You don't want to do it. I think we all know what to do. We just don't want to do it. And the coach is there to hold up a mirror. That's really all a coach does, is say, look at this.
And that's why I say I hated that masterclass. I hated that conversation, because it is a mirror. It's like, oh gosh. Like, and that I think is what great coaching is about exactly what you're talking about.
It also is still being coachable. Like there have been meetings that the three of us have sat in, and one of you will say something, and inherently I'm like, that has never come up, right? I'm not sure if I agree with that or disagree with it.
Nothing I said, right?
You changed my perspective on something early on, and it was on a performance improvement plan. We were working through something, and there was a question around, and if we do this, do we want it to work? Right? Like, then it was I'm just being silly, but you look at it and there's that question and you think about it and you're like, sometimes I can be so much of a, let's get to the finish line. Let's coach this person. Let's get them here. And then you look up and you're like, well, I can teach them the task, but I can't always teach them the mission. I can't always get them to grasp it. Yeah. And then if they don't grasp the mission, are they the right person for the role? Well, they're not. So performance improvement plan doesn't help. And so I think that's the other part of being a coach is also being coachable, going into rooms and thinking, I get to learn. I get to learn from you guys. I get to learn from our staff. It's this collective whole. You're like, I've got the opportunity every day to learn something and to be coached. That I think is then what helps me in all of my other coaching relationships.
I do think I'm going to sit on this forever. I can't change the cards that you're dealt, but I can help you play the heck out of the hand that you have. That I'm going to use so much.
It wasn't even mine. I took it from somebody
I
else.
will not use that. That's a gambling.
Well, that's
analogy
mine.
That I won't.
You're not going to be able to use that one.
No, I won't be able to. I'll need to candify that one.
Think that through. Soften it.
Uno.
Soften it.
You've always been so straight laced. I'm not surprised.
I know.
You don't even toe the edge. You stay so far away. Yep.
I know. Well, I feel like I've been coached. So
I also feel like I've been coached.
Thanks for this 30-minute coaching session. This was great.
We'll bill you all later. Just let us know you listened.
Jen, John.
So
John,
good to
Jen.
see you.
Man, Jen, John, Justin.
J
John,
cubed.
Justin.
We talked about this.
That's right. Appreciate the conversation, and I think we're gonna keep recording these, right? So one after another. They're just gonna stack up
Till they stop listening.
till they stop listening. I don't even know who they are. It's the Riff Raff. No, there's. I know my mom's listening, so
Hi, Mom.
We're good. I say that. That's just a joke. I don't think she's ever listened to the Riff, other than when my girls were on it. That's the only time I think she's ever listened to the Riff.
That was one of the best episodes. It was a good episode.
Unbelievable. All right, so next week we've actually got the last masterclass that we did. So that'll be the next episode. So if you missed that, it's on community, it's on groups. So like what we're talking about now, if you have led a group and you're thinking about, man, what does it look like to go from a player to a coach to leading, all that kind of stuff, that's going to be in the next episode. And then we will be back the week after. Oh my word. And Martz, what are we going to talk about?
No, I haven't even decided yet.
Yes, that's right, Martz.
Nope.
Yes. Riff. Thanks for listening. We'll see you later.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Riff. We'll have a brand new episode every week, wherever you find podcasts.